I just tested a bunch of rings, right? So yes, how do I do it? And I'm going to put the results somewhere, and yeah, I hope that you will do the same so we get more data. So basically, what did I do? I just took some V-block, a little bit V, so it would press here and here. I pressed with my arms downwards, and I put a scale here, and the ring, until the ring was destroyed. Yeah, obviously you should make yourself a jig, and you should plot the something like this, and here would be force, and here would be basically how much you press down, and something like this would be maybe something like this. These are the ones I tested. Basically you can just take a piece of wood like this, and the grain structure is like here in green, right? The grains do come like this. You cut the ring out of it, and you have a ring where the end grain is basically like this, right? And I made one from the same wood I made every single ring, right? And I thought, and it basically was the case, that this is basically garbage, right? You can press that down and destroy it with your fingers. What some people do is they take plywood. I'm also making my own plywood for a plywood ring. See if the layer lines side by side will make a difference. This is obviously also 90 degrees alterated, the grain direction, like in real plywood. I do basically the same thing. Take a plywood thing, make a ring out of it. It's hard to draw, but basically there is one layer of ply where the grain is up, one where it's 90 degrees to this, and then again and again. If you like the look of this, it's pretty cool. So after that I tried to be complete cross grain. This is the weakest point, and that's where it broke. But this is very strong. So yeah, I tested two of these, and basically one was really strong, and I tested the other one. The other one was really weak because I pressed like this. So yeah, so it's dependent on where you press on this one. Yeah, then I thought I could do this. So then I tested the 2-layer cross grain, where you put the outer layer in one direction and the inner layer in the other direction. So you would put something like this, and you would do something like this, and then you would cut the middle out. So now I have turned this ring. It's too thick, but I just wanted to glue it on here, and I marked the grain direction. So if I glued it on this, it would be the same grain direction, and I think that doesn't make sense because, well, yeah. But this way I will have the offset grain direction, and I think this will be a lot stronger than just a ring like this. So this was already stronger than this one in the weak direction, and basically as strong in the other direction. So it's obviously a lot more work than just this, but yeah. So I tested also 3 layers, and that was already stronger also. Some people do bent wood rings, where you take veneer, or sometimes they take shavings. I did both, but shavings should be a little bit stronger if you can get them uninterrupted. But basically they take the fibers uninterrupted and they roll them up and they get something like a spiral, and this would be very strong, and it was pretty strong, yeah. So I made 7 rings or something, 7-8 rings, and because I'm not very smart, I had to compare the strain they're under. I had to do some fancy computer mumbo jumbo. I did a ghetto analysis of just a ring with this because I didn't want to really because I didn't want to calculate, so I let the PC do it. So obviously the PC doesn't know I am using grained wood, and this would be different, twist and everything, and here are stress risers and so on, but I'm using the real geometry, so I can, so the 18 megapascal isn't real, but it can be compared from ring to ring. So yeah, so it's just to make them comparable with the data. And they would give me a maximum strain with certain measurements, so with a certain wall thickness and a certain diameter and a certain width. But yeah, I compiled a list, and I'm going to say, yeah, end grain is out. Oops, that's really bad. It's just bad. I can just put it in my hand and break it. It's not good. Don't do end grain rings. Plywood is pretty good. 26 megapascals. I don't know, that's Newton per square millimeter. So yeah, plywood. I basically always had similar measurements, so about 10 millimeters of width, 20 millimeters of outer diameter around that, and around 2 millimeter of wall thickness. Around 2 millimeters of wall thickness. And plywood is really good, one of the best, 26 megapascal. Cross grain, when I tested it, it was pretty exactly like plywood, almost exactly like plywood. Yeah, the kilograms were the same, but the measurements were a little bit different, so it worked out to a little bit more than plywood, but my measurements are obviously not really good. So cross grain, I tested it, and it was pretty good, but I was pretty surprised by that because I had bad I had some fail on me, basically. Not on me, but on the people I gave them to. And cross grain failed them. So I tested a second one with pretty much the same measurements, outer diameter and everything would be almost the same. And it failed basically like the end grain ring. What shouldn't surprise you, because the failure mode would be pretty much the same, and yeah, it's cross grain is also not very good. So yeah, if you do cross grain and you offset the cross grain, you do 2 layers and you put one layer 90 degrees to it. It was not as strong, but maybe it's just some kind of failure in gluing the layers together or something, but it wasn't really strong. It was a little bit stronger than cross grain, than the bad cross grain, or just end grain, but not much. When I did 3 layers, I had a lot. That was the strongest. I basically clocked it by 60 degrees then, and not 90. And as I said above, let me see. When I clocked it by 90 degrees, like here, it would fail on this side, right? So where the layer lines both are the weakest. So I imagine that when you do 60 degrees, then there's always one side where the long strain is, and that's, I guess, that would be the explanation why this was the strongest, and the cross grain 2 layers would be so not good, bad, pretty much. This is pretty bad. So cross grain was really good if you do 3 layers, but I did also bentwood, because I thought it would be really, really, really good, because the grain, the layers, the fiber is always in the right direction, right? So and it was really strong, 26 megapascal, almost the best, but yeah. So I would say plywood is pretty good, bentwood pretty good, cross grain when you do 3 layers also pretty good, and I learned that cross grain 2 layers isn't as good as I thought. I guess because of the 90 degrees clocking, and you can clock it 30 degrees, 60 degrees. So yeah, these are basically the options if you want to do just wood, right? So what I didn't mention is I treated all of them with CA glue, and even the end grain and the cross grain. I did that because I wanted to be fair, because the 3-layer cross grain and the bentwood and the plywood are pretty much soaked in CA glue. So I soaked every one in CA glue. So after that, I thought, great, more layers, more better. And I did a 4-layer ring, but I liked it, and I made it from good wood. The other ones are cherry, so not bad wood, but I did it from really good wood, boxwood, and boxwood is a lighter wood, and the other wood is grapevine wood. It's pretty good. And if you do more layers, obviously the layers get even more soaked in CA glue. So yeah, I tested it until it was 10 kilograms, and you can see it now, but I didn't want to destroy it, so I didn't test it to failure. But 10 kilograms is pretty much what it can take. 10 kilograms. It's pretty dark. So yeah, that's also really good, and it wasn't destroyed. So it would be, I guess, as good, at least as good as this 3-layer wood ring. So this is also only wood, right? So at last, if you are still interested, maybe you are, I would like to have more data And if you are interested, I guess you would like to, or you have made wooden rings in the past. And I think my experiment wasn't so hard to match. You can just take some kind of scale, press on the ring with whatever you have, I don't care, and send me the data. So send me everything you know about the ring, right? So the sizes are really important to me, and I would like to know the wood and how you did it, right? Basically what type of thing you did. Yeah, and if you have data like this, I would really like to see it, and you can send it to me. I basically have at Astjaeger. It's a German name, it's a pun basically, but this one in Instagram, Instructables, and Gmail. You can Gmail at astjaeger@gmail, right? Instructables, where I publish that video. Instagram, always you can follow me also if you want. You can also do it in the YouTube comments, but I don't have the at Astjaeger name in YouTube because you need 1,000 followers and I don't have that many. Basically send the data if you want to. If you have any questions, you can also contact me. Don't question me shit. You can question like how I did it, why I did it, I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious what and how I did it, but yeah. So comment, like, subscribe, whatever. But if you have data, if you have some rings that would be thrown away anyway, destroy them like this, send me the data, and I can really do some analysis. Maybe what wood would be best suited. Maybe you have some other ideas how you can make them better if you only use wood. Maybe what glues you use other than CA glue. Maybe you are just better than me in making rings, and that would be also fun if like 100 people would send me data. That would be really cool, but that wouldn't be happening. But we could see a lot. But we could also see if 100 people, maybe 20 of them, would send like 5 or even 3 rings in. So the data of 3 rings. I could very easily, not that easily, but I could calculate which would be what maker would make the best rings and stuff. Basically that's it. If you want to do a one-to-one comparison, use cherry wood and do use the sizes that I did. You don't have to do the data analysis, the FEA, finite element analysis, because if you do the size basically like I did, the minute differences in how wide and stuff, it doesn't really matter that much. But basically don't make them too thick, too big, or too wide, and it would basically pan out exactly with the kilograms. I put the Instructables in the video description of the YouTube, and there I put this thing in writing if you want that. That's it. I'm going to test it, but not to failure. I'm going to test it until it's 10 kilos. So it would be better than the worsts and maybe better than the best, but maybe not. But it is a lot thinner than the others, so yeah. It's a little bit round, so I have to hold it, but does flex. It's 10. Maybe I can show you the flex. I can't. I think I'm not the best cameraman. No, it stands up.